Hi everyone, Cindy here from Bunnybrook Designs. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I have here in front of me a mini macrame board. I use this to make bracelets, and I thought I would do something a little bit different with the Mountain Majesties. I saw these beads and I was like, that would make a really nice bracelet, but I want to do something to kind of give it more visual interest other than just that. So what I'm thinking about doing is doing some macrame, doing this as the center focal, and then continuing on with macrame down here, and then making this a macrame cord, but yet maybe putting on a cord end on it and doing so it has a clasp instead of just a pull. But I figured we could do some together. I don't know if any of you have done macrame before, but it's very easy to do, and it's fun. It's something that you can sit in front of the TV. Once you get the knots down, you can sit in front of the TV with your board in front of you and just make bracelets. What I did to get the beads on was I took a little bit of glue, and I usually use Mod Podge. It doesn't really matter. This one's gloss. Just take a little bit in between on your fingers and just pull it on the ends, let it dry, and then just, I don't know if you can see that, snip the end on an angle there, just a little bit to get it. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can get that on camera. Just snip it so that it's got a little point, and it'll go through the beads quite nicely. If you get too big of a cord, it won't. This one is 0.8, I believe, cord, so it's really very thin. I have thinner if I needed it. I had pulled out some thinner, but this seemed to work. So what I want to do to kind of give this some visual interest is, instead of doing the standard flat knot, I'm going to do a spiral knot, which I don't know if you know anything about macrame, but we can go ahead and get started and I will walk you through it. So I have a very long cord here, and sorry, it's going to be off camera a little bit just because it's super long. And I'm going to start out by finding my center, and I usually do that just by pulling it up, holding onto the ends. And once I find my center, I am just going to tie just a regular knot here on onto the holding cord, which is this cord here that has the beads on it. And I'm just going to tie a knot. Now, it's okay if it's slightly off center, because I cut myself a very long piece so that even if it, isn't quite even, I'm not going to worry about it. So what I'm going to do is, normally when you do macrame, if you haven't done it before, you put one cord underneath your holding cord, over top of the cord on the opposite side, and then that cord that's underneath that first cord goes over top of your holding cord and through this, we'll pull this down so you've got this C shape here. It's going to go underneath the C shape, and you're going to pull that tight, and it's going to form the first half of the knot. Now, I don't know if you can see that quite well, and I'm bringing it up to the camera. One side is coming out the top, and one side is coming out the bottom. Now, normally, if you want to do a flat knot, you take the side that's coming out the top, and you put that one underneath the holding cord to get it to lay. It'll end up laying flat. What I want to do is I want to spiral it. So what I'm going to do is, instead of doing that, I'm going to continue doing the same half knot that I did before. So the left side is going to go under, form that C. The right side is going to come, so the cord is going to go over top of the right side C, and go under the left side C. And so what that's going to do is it's going to give it a little bit of a twist. Now I'm going to do that one more time. So left side under the holding cord, right side over the holding cord and under the C, and pull that. Don't pull it like so tight that you can't see it, but don't leave it so loose that it's kind of like that. And now this cord doesn't like to stay, so I will pull it a little bit loose. But as you can see, it's already starting to twist slightly around the holding cord. Now I'm going to do this. That was 3. I'm going to do this maybe 10 times. And I'm going to kind of do this pretty quick here so that you don't have to watch me demonstrate. So that's 4. And see if it loosens up before you do your second knot like that one just did. You can go ahead and just pull it tight. That's 5. Six. And that's fine. I'll tighten that up in a minute. 7. 8. 9. And 10. All right, and then I'm just going to slide this up the holding cord so it's right at the top of the numbers, because that's going to be 1 inch. From here to here, from here to here is going to be 2 inches. And so I need to measure it, and you want to count your stitches because you want to make sure you do the same number on this side as you do on the opposite side. And so I'm going to go down until I've reached probably about 3 inches, maybe 2.5, because I am going to need some space for these beads. But I'm going to do that. I'm going to pause it, and I will meet you back here in a minute. Okay, guys, I'm back for a minute. So I started working on doing the macrame and decided I didn't want to go all the way down and just have plain macrame the entire way down. So what I did was I strung on some additional beads to my board and kind of changed up the design a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put groups of beads in between the macrame. So I'm going to do a section of macrame, some beads, a section of macrame, some beads. I do want to keep this as close together as possible. I am going to have to tie knots around it, but I only have to do 1 knot around each. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go around these 3 beads. And so to do that, you're going to continue with the same knotting, except you're going to want to trap those beads underneath. And so I am, and see, that's how you trap them. And I just got extra beads in there that I don't need. So I'm going to just tie a knot, and it's going to trap them. And I'm going to do several knots here, and just be very careful to not trap any beads you don't want trapped. So that's 2. Three. I think I'll do 6. 4. 5, and this one makes 6. I don't know if I'm going to have enough cord to do this whole thing. I may have to add cord, which will give me a chance to show you how to do that as well. And I need to tighten up that previous knot before. You will notice that as you're twisting it, it's going to twist, including the beads, which is fine, because when it's on the wrist, that's exactly the design I was going for. All right, now I'm going to pull up the next set of beads, and I am going to tie a knot, and we'll do 6. 2. 3. I think I'm only going to do 4 because I'm keeping an eye on my length, because this needs to be about 7 inches. I don't want it too long. And going off of that, pulling up this section of beads, it's going to get me to roughly so that is, and I'm going to break out a measuring tape, that is going to be roughly 2.5 inches, and then if I do about 2.5, that'll give me just a 7, so that's perfect. So now I did 4, so I did 6, 4, 16, 18. So what I need to do now is I need to encompass this whole section. However, I don't think it's going to stay with all of those beads, so I'm going to do 2, and I'm going to tie 1 knot. I'm going to bring up 3 without messing up my knots and tie another knot. And actually between the two, between this next section, I'm going to tie 2 knots. Just because I want to, between that center focal and these 3. And I am out of cookies for Bunny. She's not going to be happy with me. All right, now I'm going to tie another 2 around this bead, trapping the bead. I may actually have enough cord, maybe. And then we're going to do that again. And I'm just going to see how that is, because I can take knots out at this point if I don't like it. Yeah, I like that. I do like that. And then 3. And again, because we're twisting the cord, we're basically twisting this cord. And the problem is it's not twisting on the frame because this, the board is holding it in place. And so normally it would just twist, it's going to twist up. And that's why my cords are slowly starting to twist. If you notice, I'm having a hard time with them not staying straight. I could untwist them, but that takes time, and I'm just trying to get you through this so we can finish this off. All right, I am going to finish this section, and I will meet you back here. Okay, guys, I'm back. So I have completed adding the beads, and as you can see, it's twisted so that these have the cords on the side. This one kind of has it on the top, which is fine because that gives it a little unique flair. It gives you the feel of a spiral. So now to finish this off, what I did was on I did my 18, and I'm taking this off the board now that it's knotted. It's not going to go anywhere. I did my 18 knots, and then I took and did an extra knot and just tied it as tight as I possibly could without pulling on it. Now I'm going to finish this off with some crimp ends. So I have these little cord ends, and I'm going to use some bigger ones because I do want to go over those knots. And I am going to put some glue in there in order to hold it in. I'm going to use some E6000, and what we're going to do is I'm going to take a piece of scrap wire and some E6000 here. So let me grab some scrap wire from something I was working on earlier. And I'm just going to put it in the bottom here of my cord end. And then I am going to take the end and I'm going to set it in there just like that. And I'm putting part of the knots in too, because I do want the knots to be in, and I am not cutting it just yet. I'm going to crimp this down, starting with one side, going on the other. I want to flatten the first side down all the way as much as I can. And while this probably wouldn't go anywhere without the glue, I like to add the glue as added security. And now I'm going to fold the other side over. And there you have it. Now I'm just going to trim the end. And that's why I did this 7 inches, because I didn't want to take a chance that it was going to be too short. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And again, I'm not trimming these wires or these cords until they're in the crimp and glued so that they aren't going to go anywhere. And again, a little bit of E6000. I love my E6000. This stuff is great. Unlike super glue that gets all over your hands and then you can't get it off, this stuff washes off quite nicely before it's 100% cured. All right, and again, I'm going to set part of this in with the knots, and I'm going to just pull my cords and start out flattening a side. Here, I don't know how well you can see that on camera, but I'm just going to flatten this side as much as I can. And then I'm going to take and flatten the other side. And sometimes this can be a pain if you hadn't started it like I did the other one. And there we go. That's nice and flat. Looks good from the top. And then we're just going to trim. And I use wire cutters for a lot of things that I find they cut, most of the time they cut pretty smoothly. And there we have it. Now, all I need to do on this, I'm going to set my board aside, come back to my beading mat, and I'm going to add a jump ring and a clasp on this. So this is kind of a, I don't know if I want to say kind of, because I know people have mentioned on my channel I say that too much. But this is blingy rustic to me. I love the silver cord. I think it's sparkly. It doesn't look like macrame cord. It gives you the feeling, it gives you that glamour feeling. And I'm going to use this. This right here. We'll put our clasp on. And as you can see, I'm wearing jewelry today. Went out to lunch with an old coworker. Had a blast. Caught up. Hadn't seen him in several years. All right, and so I'm going to try to put this on top of all my other bracelets. Just to kind of give you an idea of how it'll look on a wrist. That is, if I can do it. There we go. All right, so let me get these guys out of the way. And there you go. Just a cute little macrame bracelet. And just a little fun. It's very lightweight. I will probably put a extender chain on that for people if I'm going to sell it. But yeah, I like it. It's cute. It used up my purple donut beads, and it's very silvery, you know, purple Mountain Majesties. And there you go. So another one from the Mountain Majesties collection. Let me know what you think in the comments, and thanks for watching.